Mr. President, last week, thousands of radical Islamists rallied on Friday in northwestern Pakistan in support of a man who earlier this week walked into a courtroom in the city of Peshawar and gunned down a U.S. citizen on trial for blasphemy. That's how the New York Times started their article on this issue last week. The American, Tahir Naseem, he died of his wounds before he could be taken to the hospital while the gunman was taken into custody. The U.S. State Department said Naseem was standing trial after being lured to Pakistan from his home in Illinois. He was entrapped by the country's controversial blasphemy law, which international rights groups have sought to have repealed. The blasphemy law calls for the death penalty for anyone found guilty of insulting Islam. But in Pakistan, the mere allegation of blasphemy can cause mobs to riot and vigilantes to kill those accused. Pakistani officials said Naseem was charged with blasphemy after he declared himself Islam's prophet. That was the accusation that was laid against him. At the rally, rallying in support of the person who murdered the American citizen, at the rally in Peshawar, the demonstrators carried signs praising the murderer for killing and calling for his immediate release from jail, saying he killed Naseem because the government was too slow in prosecuting blasphemy cases. Mr. President, last December, 8 months ago, last December, I filed a resolution to speak with a unified voice on what I consider a nonpartisan issue. A simple statement from this Congress condemning blasphemy laws across the world wherever they exist. We are a nation who stands for the ability of every individual to choose any faith, change their faith, or have no faith at all. That is a basic human right. But according to the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, 84 countries, more than a third of the world's countries, have a blasphemy law on the books, including in Pakistan, where an American citizen was murdered last week under an accusation of blasphemy. This resolution that I filed 8 months ago with the Foreign Affairs Committee, this resolution has moved already in the House. The House Foreign Affairs Committee worked through the process of this resolution in March of this year and passed it unanimously. It was sponsored by Democrat Jamie Raskin and had the support of multiple Democrats on the Foreign Affairs Committee and was overwhelmingly moved. While this resolution, a mere 8 pages, has sat unmoved for 8 months. The Vice Chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, who was appointed by Speaker Pelosi, has said at USCIRF, that's this organization, has noted countless times, in Pakistan's blasphemy laws inflame interreligious tensions and too often lead to violence. We urge the State Department to enter into a binding agreement with the Pakistani government that includes the repeal of blasphemy provisions in the Pakistani Penal Code. I couldn't agree more. The Trump administration has spoken on this. The House of Representatives has spoken on this. The United States Commission for International Religious Freedom, a nonpartisan group, has spoken out on this. We in the Senate should also speak out on it, and the time to be able to speak out on it is when we have just had an American citizen murdered overseas because of these laws. It is prime time to be able to move this. This is something that I believe should be able to be passed by unanimous consent.